like you ask me a question, like a very, like a personal question, and then just press start.
So what do you think about the government, Mick?
Yeah, how socialist is Amsterdam? What
love
sort
them.
of government? What sort of
So
government does
good.
Amsterdam have?
I don't even know.
Governmental system.
Governments of
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. It's probably
do they actually have a socialist?
No, they're not socialists.
Do they even have a government?
Sure, they do. It's probably
It's
some
powered-
form of
it's
social
all-
democracy or whatever.
Is it all just through windmills and shit like that?
I don't even know if they're the windmill.
They vote with
Is that the Netherlands?
That is the Netherlands, yep.
Okay, all right. So here's I'll just read off the top parties. There's the Green Left, the Democrat 66. That kind of sounds like a boomer band. The People's Party for Freedom and Democracy, the Labor Party, the Socialist
They're
Party,
communist.
the Party for the Animals. I'm not sure what Party for the Animals is. That could be
Jesus.
like environmentalist. And then one called
like
DENK,
Jim Belushi's
D-E-N-K.
party.
This is a crazy amount of parties. The Forum for Democracy, and then we found, okay, here we go, the Christian Democratic Appeal. They're probably also pretty cucked. We got the Party for the Elderly. I'm on for the Party for the Elderly. I like the Elderly Party.
You can't call them after about 4 p.m.
And then so there's no old school conservatives, I don't think, in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is totally.
I think the People's Party of what was it? The People's Party for Freedom or something?
For freedom and democracy.
Yeah, that sounds like a bunch of communists. And what was the other one? It was the Christian Party. Is going to be the right wing party, I'm sure.
We have the Green Left and Democrat 66. I don't know what 66 is for. Oh, they're social liberal on the political. Yeah. So, anyways, this is welcome to the Amsterdamian political show. We're talking.
No one's watching.
It's fine. Nobody watches the first few minutes of this.
No.
You know what is crazy? A significant amount of my clients, and if you guys do watch this in post, they'll message me about mistakes that I made afterwards from this. They'll be like, "Here, you said this, and it was actually this," and I'll be like, "Damn it, you're right." It's amazing. It's wonderful.
That's what it's like to be famous, Alex.
I have some people. I do have some people riding my ass about it, which is good. It keeps me on my toes. But we're talking about the 4-day split, which I think is probably the most universal programming language, right, Chase?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Mick, are you training 4 days a week now, or how many days are you training, Mick? 0?
No. Actually, I trained a lot when I was away, but I was getting into a bit more bodybuilding stuff, which you'd be happy to hear about. Alex,
hell yeah, buddy!
Yes, I was going like 5 days.
Did you find a convergent chest press machine? Did you find a convergent bench?
No, but I don't know what that means.
So it's a bench machine where the handles are really wide at the bottom, and then you squeeze them together on the ascent.
So
it's like
like a fly. Do you actually have to like bring it in laterally and then?
No. It's man. It's about to get real here. I'm about to show you guys my favorite.
Alex is so excited right now.
They're truly the best machines. Like they have such little carryover to anything else, but they're wonderful. I got to find a good one. For some reason, calf machines are coming up when I type in convergent bench machine.
Your Google's just autofilling what it thinks what you think is going to type.
It does, yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see.
That reminds me, like the other day I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw someone had a forearm machine. It's almost kind of like where you sit in like a saddle, then it has like another
a wrist curl.
No. Like you sit down like on like a bench or a saddle, and then you had like a handle that's just fixated in your seating position. Then you had another handle to where if you grip it, it's like this, right? And then the handle that is forward of you, it's loaded onto like a little peg or something like that. And then people were
you squeeze them together.
Yeah, so they were using.
I've seen those before,
and they're just like doing this. I'm like, dude, this is so awesome.
Yeah, they're training to be lobsters, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
They're training to be lobsters.
Did you ever use those handheld ones?
Imagine streaming during the Super
We have
Bowl.
a few in the gym. Like someone brought them by, but like they weren't like the crazy, like level 3, level 4. Yeah, I think it was like maybe like the 2, and I could click them together pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. So imagine streaming during the Super Bowl. G-Lock, we did talk about this in the group chat. We were like, wait a second, do we need to delay? It's the fucking Super Bowl. But we're not gonna. The people who watch this show are not gonna watch the Super Bowl.
I did. I said, fuck the Super Bowl.
And someone
That's what he
used
said.
a homophobic slur, which I believe is a hate
I
crime.
did not say
Alex,
that. Yes,
I can't believe you said that, Alex. I'm still shocked.
But yeah, so the captains of Crush Grippers, they're wonderful. If you get them, they're called COC, Captains of Crush Grippers. If you know the technique really well and you can set it in your hand. So the first time I ever tried them, I closed a 3. A 3.5, I could barely get like half a. The jump between 3 and 3.5 is crazy. Mick, you could probably close a 1. Chase, you can probably close a 3.5. I feel like. Yeah, that's probably what we're
so
looking at.
what's like the top level? Is it like a 5? Or
I don't know if they even have a 5.
There's a
Man,
4.
this is just the Googling show. The last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I played video games this year. I just finished lifting. I don't even know who's playing in the Super Bowl this year. I don't know last year or the year before.
Didn't the Eagles win the Super Bowl like a few years ago, like 5 years ago or something like that?
Cool, dude. You're going to be our sports historian. For the
Oh
show.
no, I think that was no. They're playing like New England or some shit.
I feel like New England has been in every time. I have no idea.
Yeah, they really have.
I just feel disconnected from mainstream American culture.
New England's like Boston area.
Massachusetts.
Why would a place want to be called New England though? Why wouldn't they just go?
Well, because they were
work out that well.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's yes, the history of Pennsylvania being the primary Quaker colony, Massachusetts being one of the original kind of hubs for Anglo-Puritanism. Oh man, I love colonial history. We can talk about this later. But the important thing, back to this. So this is a convergent bench machine. So this one isn't a good one, but the better ones, they're free floating on a center axis. So you're responsible for bringing it in. You can also press them out wide, but you're responsible for squeezing them together. So it's as much together as it is up. You get the most unreal pec squeeze your whole life.
Oh,
it feels like if you had silicone implants in there, they would shoot out of your breast. It's crazy. Yes, they're truly wonderful.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, what did cool dude say? Sports historian. He said 5 years ago. This year they're playing the Chiefs. Are they? I only know because my friends send me memes and their FB Facebook memories. Nice. You have friends? What a fucking loser.
Yeah, internet friends.
God damn, man.
I like how G-Lock says, imagine streaming during the Super Bowl, but imagine watching this instead of watching the Super Bowl.
See, G-Lock's he's just an original gangster, man. That's what is going on. He's truly what did we say that our audience composed of? It was gay libertarians, I think. Is the primary target demographic.
With Asperger's.
Yeah, before it was the alt-right barbell club. Now we've slowly shifted.
We should all slightly look off to the side of the screen so we're not making anyone feel uncomfortable who's watching this right now.
Yeah. Direct eye contact with you, viewer. Yeah. We know who you are. Everybody's just here for Chase's PRs, I think. Everybody stays tuned for the last 2 minutes when I badger Chase about his Instagram.
Dude, I haven't done shit.
Why don't we do it now?
How's your training been going, Chase? Can we do a Chase training update?
Yeah, so I finally just got fed up with just training, and I have made someone else just kind of coach me. Like I was working with a guy that Rip knew for a while, and I think I kind of got just overtrained with him. So I'm back with kind of just Josh, coach down in Houston. We're just kind of collaborating on some things. I'm like, look, I can't do my program anymore because I'm running myself into the ground. So this is in your hands now.
How many times did everyone recommend test?
Oh, fuck, a lot. I'm like, dude, I can't afford it or anything like that. Like if I can afford it and stuff like that, I'd probably be on it and stuff like that. But
Chase, you need to pump out 6 kids before you do that.
Yeah, all that stuff too. Well, I wouldn't just do tests. Like I'd probably try it, and dabble in a few other things. But I haven't done it.
You need to dabble in progenitor and carrying on your genetic line, and then you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Get to dabbling.
How much does testosterone cost in the US?
Like we have a partnership through the gyms with Whitmer Rejuvenation Clinic. Like they're out of Missouri, but they have practices all over the country and stuff like that. And I think, I don't know, I could be wrong on this, but I think since we're staff and I'm an SSC and Alex is an SSC, I think we get like a slight discount from that. I get more of it because I'm through the gyms. I think it could be free or pretty damn close to free.
Go crazy.
And that's too expensive.
Yeah. Well,
it's such a heavy moral burden, Vic.
Oh, and I thought the only reason you said you weren't doing it because it's too expensive. It was like, well, you just said it's nearly free. It was like, well,
No, like I wouldn't just do tests. Like I'd probably try other shit too. Like the fun shit.
If you're going for it, you're going for it.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
injecting HGH directly into your kneecaps. Is
Exactly.
what the plan is.
They need to grow.
They need robust patellas. So we're talking about the 4-day split here. Mick is a bodybuilder now. He probably trains 7 days a week. He doesn't train 4 days a week anymore. Chase, how many days a week are you training?
4.
Test. Oh, here we go. Test has not stopped my child production. HCG goes along with it. It's not expensive though. Yes, yeah. It's not the most expensive. When you start talking like aromatase inhibitors, when you start talking like a lot of stuff that you need to use super physiological levels, if you're doing replacement levels, you really don't need many accessory drugs. When you're talking like, look at me, I'm an athlete now doses, you need stuff to tend to go along with that. A lot of DHEAs. And then that can get expensive. Cool, dude. How long have you been on test for? Have you just been blasting for years and have 7 children, or what's the situation here?
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so we're training 4 days. Go ahead.
Quick. So when you're taking testosterone, what happens with the old sperm count? Does it actually go down, or what's the story?
So again, there's going to be a dose response relationship with all this stuff. So when you're on TRT levels, as compared, so the levels that you're on, Mick, that you're what's it called, soaking your testicles in every night, is a pittance compared to Instagram models, what they're taking. And that is probably maybe half a quarter of what most like bodybuilders are taking.
I see. Right.
Yeah. So it's very.
Condoms, is that what you're saying? If I don't have.
I mean, probably not. I don't know if you're very virile, anyways. Chase, incredibly virile. Me, I probably am completely infertile as well. If I had to bet my luck, we'll find out. We'll find out soon. Cool dude has 2 children, TRT and TRT. Nice. That's really funny.
TRT and TRT plus. What's TRT plus?
It's probably just the name of his second child.
Yeah.
What if I want to look like Lover King? You could call yourself Lover King in bed.
Sure,
the Liver King redemption arc, man. Liver King redemption arc. It is absolutely. Chase, have you looked into that or followed that whatsoever?
What, the Liver King stuff?
Yeah.
Just like the surface level stuff.
So I had real human beings, no shit, be like, "Whoa, did you hear that this guy isn't natty?"
Wow.
I had real human beings ask me that. It's like, he looks like a stage-ready bodybuilder.
He looked as red as my fucking shirt. Like his hemoglobin
365 days a year.
Yeah.
It's like this man is on a tremendous amount of gear.
So what's funny too is like I think like he said this in a video one time, and I just happened to pick up on it. Where he lives is like north of like Houston, so like the climate there, you don't really get that much sun because it's almost always fucking cloudy, except for maybe like in the summer and stuff. So it's like the amount of sun exposure you would need to be constantly red like that. It's like you already have to tan your ass off, and then 2, it's like you're not really adapting to that stimulus. So it's just like there's something fishy going on. Like
that boy's he's in a tanning bed constantly.
Yeah, probably.
There is one, I'm trying to remember the name. I'll try to find this and we can talk about it next episode. But there was a drug that Rich Piana used to recommend that would help him get a tan, and an even tan without going to a tan in bed. And apparently it gave him crazy boners. He would talk about having like painful erections after injecting this drug. And I was like, must be a wild life to be one of these guys. Just being like, I need to be more tan and my dick's never soft.
That's crazy.
Have you tried to get it? I mean, it sounds like your perfect drug, Alex.
Oh yeah, no, I'm already tan. My penis is constantly hard. So yeah, man, Liver King loving more. Yes, the whole Liver King debacle was really funny. There was one guy did like a good documentary on it about kind of like the expose. It was like 40 minutes long. I watched it. There was a lot of people who I think legitimately complete kind of doofuses who have never been around gym culture before, who thought he was like truly a natty prince. And you're like, oh, the solution is just, eating a tremendous amount of, raw organs.
Yeah. I wonder though, if one of these, I reckon is it going to happen with one of these guys gets sued by the people who bought his products, because it's basically a scam. Like he's basically saying, I eat this way and train this way, and this is how I got this body. And I reckon there's a lot of
Well,
I
it's
don't know.
not
I think
contractual.
yeah, that and like the
But
way he
it's
marketed it too is like he
it's
has
kind of
9 ancestral tenets, so it's just like
Hmm.
these are ideas. I don't know if you can be sued from an
And a
idea.
lot of the tenants are like, go to bed, exercise,
Yeah,
sleep.
exactly.
And then like the 10th forbidden tenet is like take $10,000 of steroids every month.
Exactly.
That's the secret 10th tenet. We're trying to unlock number 10 for Chase right now is what's happening.
Hmm.
should do a GoFundMe for Chase's.
Yeah, I'm
I
down.
guarantee we'd probably hit that in a day.
For his free supply. It's
Yeah,
just a
just to fund
petition
his
for him to get on
fund his
TNT.
fund his, fund his pets for the year.
Man, just his peds. We
Mm,
got to talk about the 4-day split, guys.
yeah.
I'm sorry. This show, it was too entertaining. Now it has to be boring. We have to talk about education. The 4-day split. There's more complexity in scheduling than people think. It is not just working out 4 days a week. In some ways, I would say here are kind of the 3 like archetypes of the 4-day split. I have not talked to Chase about these, so curious to hear, and I suppose Mick as well, because he's kind of been in the fitness space for a long time at this point, or seeing a lot of templates. These are generally like the 3 archetypes of what a 4-day split ends up being. It ends up being an alternating microcycle. So it's kind of like 2 baby weeks that are put together in the same week. So you have an A and a B workout and a C and a D workout, and they're kind of unrelated. The other, and I would say this is the most common, particularly as it pertains to kind of like starting strength S programming, is the repeating microcycle, where it's like an A-B workout, and then you're repeating that same A-B workout with different weight or a very slight variation for the second A-B. So it goes like A-B, rest 1 or 2 days, A-B.
Hmm.
And then this is the one that I end up programming more frequently. I don't. This has been in my brain for some time. Is the name? I don't know actually if this is the name at all. It's kind of hard to name these things, but I call it like the 3+1 split. So it's like if you're taking someone who's been doing a traditional 3-day a week and they're doing like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you just tack on Saturday, right? So it's like your 3-day plus another one at the end. Chase, what do you think?
Yeah, so the vast experience that I have was with the second one with the repeating microcycles. Like I have done the 3+1 split, like what you're talking about. Generally, it's for just like some younger people who are just like, man, can I do some shit outside of here? And we're on good speaking terms of like, look, if you actually want to do something like cardio or still be in the gym that extra day, then yeah, we're going to do some shit that just kind of makes you hot and tired, but isn't going to affect the 3 other days of traditional lifting. But then going back to like the repeating microcycles, yeah, I've ran that cycle or that template. Oh, I shouldn't even say those. Those are kind of like buzzwords, but that
There's
program
such memes
style,
now.
I know
Everything, all language has been poisoned.
exactly.
No.
But I've ran those, man, for years and years now. And then
Yeah.
now with like the Olympic style focus, it's kind of more like the alternating microcycles to where like we're focusing on almost like a different movement pattern each day because I have to practice it.
Yes, yeah. So I would say the more advanced that things get, it tends to be an alternating microcycle. And even if you were to extend that, and we'll hop over to a spreadsheet after we run through some of these notes and kind of put some examples up, where it's almost like an A, B, C, D, and then the next time you start your week, it'll be like A, B, C, D, E, F. You'll have a different workout even. That may be like your maxes, your most heavy singles, and then you'll go back to your
Mm-hmm.
AB. Or you may hop right into CD. So it's like the first portion of the block, the AB may be more flexible, that may be more plug and play, or maybe the CD. So I'd say the alternating is the most complicated. The repeating, frankly, tends to be the most reliable if you're calling your shots correctly. Like someone can last on repeating microcycles for like 2 fucking years, I think, for the most part. And then the 3+1 split, I would say this seems to be, it's pretty close, I would say, to this. Like if you're good at programming, like a heavy, light, medium split, we got to do HLM next, Chase. We got to do that one next. If you're good at programming,
talked about that.
we have not talked about heavy, light, medium, dude.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then how to tack on that extra work and not, kill yourself or others. Just a quick running through with the benefits of the 4-day split. Session length number 1. Because like how long is the end of let's say end of NLP, Chase? How long is the session taken? Someone's being a good boy, they're taking long rests.
At least 90 minutes, almost 2 hours.
Yeah, 90 verging on 2. Yeah, I would say that's very reasonable. So the 4-day split, it can really cut it down. If you're supersetting an accessory move or you're supersetting warm-ups, if you're being good about your time management in the gym, you should be able to get a 4-day split done very reasonably, like 60 to 75 minutes, I would say.
Oh yeah.
So session length, I think way better. I would say there's a flatter frequency distribution, and this kind of ties into more upper body exposures. So like, let's say, for example, NLP style or HLM style, if you're alternating lifts, there may be 1 week you're only benching once, and it kind of works out to 1.5 times a week, something like that. Whereas with, a 4-day split, you're getting everything at a very reliable frequency. Rihanna's done singing. Fuck. Did we miss the halftime
Damn, dude,
show?
we missed it.
Rihanna, back to foosball. Did we stream during any World Cup events?
I think we did.
We did. Man.
But American viewers don't give a fuck. Like, we didn't have like John Carr, I don't think, posting or anything like that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, all of our favela members.
Yes, exactly. They're busy.
Yeah, anyone from a treetop in Brazil said that they were not posting during that.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, it seems like we have 10 people, which is about the average, I would say. So none of these people. These are
no one cares about NFL.
No, man.
Yeah, the gay libertarian crowd that we like to sponsor here is not.
They're probably using their neighbor's internet connection right now.
Posting illegal memes. Yeah, so flatter frequency distribution, I would say that's a huge plus. It's a plus for both skill and for rate of gains. Because if you're only, pressing 1 time a week on 1 week, the next week when you go into it, you're going to be a little bit rusty, detraining windows, things like that. Let's go back to this. Did I scroll up? Boop. More upper body exposures. A lot of times the 4-day split should have upper body exposures on every single workout. Is that pretty typical, Chase?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going generally from 3 upper body exposures to at least 4, and that's an increase in frequency and almost always an increase in volume, and that's great. And then I think you have more wiggle room with rest, because if you notice that, like, I'd say, for example, if your squat, if you can generally turn a squat around in 48 hours and be fine, you can match your frequency to that. If your deadlift needs 3 days at a minimum, you can program, or you can kind of sort your week out so that your deadlift always gets 3 days in between, right? So you're deadlifting, roughly 2-ish times a week. So I'd say more wiggle room with rest if you're being careful about it. And then everybody loves accessory work. I think there's just more time for accessories with this, like your chin-ups. And then if we can call like a light pull, like clean, snatch grip deadlifts, deficit deadlifts, RDLs, those things that like are kind of primary lifts, kind of not. Anything else you're thinking here, Chase, for benefits for 4-day splits?
This would just be like, again, to tack on like number 3. So you're maybe like if you're increasing the frequency with the pulls too. So if you have a shitty deadlift, or like in my example, like I need to start pulling more because I'm doing the Olympic lifts. Now I have more exposure to that.
Yeah.
Same thing for the squats. But just again, as long as you have more time slots to play around with. And with that, you now have better recovery assets. You have better frequency. All the variables that we normally take into accounting with programming, we just have now more room to play with.
Yeah, you're literally going to the gym another time. That's wonderful. Who wants anything else? By the way, Chase, so this week is one of the first times that I've only worked out 4 times. I feel like the laziest person in the whole world.
Dude,
it's crazy.
I shouldn't tell you what I did yesterday. So yesterday I went out for Phoebe's birthday, and we did like it was kind of like a pizza tour where we just kind of did it on ourselves.
Nice.
I hated it because I fucking hate just eating a bunch of like nonsense junk
and walking.
Oh no, we didn't even walk. It was just like driving around, going
pizza
to
pizza drive.
Yes, exactly. I felt so fucking greasy and fat afterwards. I was like, I
was gonna say you're both looking a bit fatter than last time I saw you.
I'm about to like fucking start throwing up.
You did the hand. By the way, I did notice your flex before. Just
that was just for you, Mick. I was like, wonder if Mick's paying attention here.
I did not miss
what was real fun too is like I was basically thinking like it was the most anabolic wasted time experience too, because like I had so much insulin in my fucking system, so I didn't have like a 800 blood sugar.
How many pieces of pizza did you have?
You should have pushed the car.
Oh, we went to like 5 or 6 stops, and we at least had 1 slice there, if not 2 or 3.
Nice. Was there a clear winner?
Oh, like we didn't like race or anything. Oh, you mean like in the terms of like I thought you meant like out of me and Phoebe. I was like, yeah,
I like that's where Chase's mind went to straight away. It's like, oh yeah,
you guys did competing pizza tours for her birthday.
Such a romantic.
Yeah. No, like we actually found a few good places. So if we ever like in the OKC region, Joey's Pizza was pretty damn good.
Joey.
We had we didn't go to Falcone's. We went to there's a place down in Norman. I'll have to ask her the name. It's like Fires or some shit like that. Pizza.
Oh man,
That was pretty
Joey's
damn
has
good.
a 4.4 out of 5 from 756 reviews. That's pretty good.
Joey's was pretty fucking good, man.
That
It
is
was
pretty good.
I had this pizza. It was like shrimp Alfredo pizza almost, and they had shrimp on
Interesting.
pizza. Oh, it was pretty.
Were there
fucking
noodles
good.
on the pizza, or is it just Alfredo
No,
sauce?
it was
on the
just
pizza?
like Alfredo sauce.
Is shrimp on
Interesting.
pizza weird over there?
Yes.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not
Really?
typical. Yeah, is that typical in Aussie?
I would say it's typical, but it's definitely something that's on the menu.
Is that y'all's
in most
national
pizza
dish?
places. Nah, not really. But Hawaiian pizza is way too popular here. We have an Aussie pizza. You want to know
What's on the Aussie
what,
pizza?
what do you reckon would be on an Aussie pizza?
Vegemite?
Guess.
Government subsidies.
Yeah,
What is
booster
it?
shots and Vegemite.
You're not allowed to eat it.
An old paper mask.
No, it's like it's a Hawaiian without the pineapple, but they crack an egg on it.
So it's a ham and egg pizza.
Basically, yeah.
That ain't bad.
Interesting.
That sounds good.
Okay. Is it like thick country ham, or is it thinner like deli meat ham?
It's like that shredded stuff.
Interesting. This sounds. Chase, thoughts?
I would eat it. It sounds like I'd eat it. So
We're not very discerning. We would eat it.
yeah.
But I don't know if it's worthy of being Australian pizza.
On this episode of Would You Eat It?
Would you eat it? Okay, that's the benefits for the 4-day splits. Yeah, so examples now of alternating microcycles. So this again is like an AB, REST, CD platform. I would say this is good for people who are not super frequency dependent. Like if your press needs to happen, or like a specific variation needs to happen very frequently and you need that variation, this may not be the best thing for you. Like if your deadlift is still going up literally every time you deadlift, if you were to look at this, for example, he's only deadlifting 1 time a week, he's doing some cleans, but it may not carry over 1-to-1 in the deadlift. If there's anything where I think you can drive it up very, very reliably, I don't know if alternating is a good idea because you're naturally extending the time from hitting it. Thoughts on that, Chase?
No, I agree. So like this is kind of looking like the form of like West Side stuff where it's like maybe if we're going into a meet or whatever competition, we're focusing on maybe 1 prime movement per day and then doing a bunch of either existence exercises or some other part of the exercise that won't beat us up. So for example, like you have a squat and bench, so that's an upper and a lower body. The squat could be really heavy today, and that has the whole entire emphasis and the stress for a week. In the bench, I may do more bench here for like my competition bench. Or like
this may be volume.
Exactly, because then I have C on this day to where I have my intensity day and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is, I would say the alternating is really good. Whenever, like Chase was saying, you can have wiggle room and variations, or things needs like a different distribution of effort. Because like for example, if Chase, how much are you benching? Do you bench at all ever?
Just once a week.
How much are you benching? Give me a rough figure.
I did a 3x3 at 320 the other day.
Okay, so he's doing a 3x3 at 320 here. If he needs to get all of his benching volume in for the week, for example, or let's say Chase is trying to drive his bench up, he needs to get 6 or 7 benching sets in across the week. If he does all of his bench as heavy as he can, and he does it on this one exposure, he'll kill himself. The last few sets will either be too light or too hard. He'll fuck his shoulder up or something. So you can go with kind of lower volume or lighter work here. You can kind of play with that, and then you can supplement it with the other variation of bench. So generally, these are front loaded. So the first portion of the microcycle, or the first portion of the 4-day split, is the hardest, and then the second is more kind of like a supplement almost. So like the pause squats are lighter and supplemental to the squat. This for example, it's kind of inverted with the deadlift, but like the bench is being supplemented and supported by the pause bench. So like if Chase is trying to get all of his volume in just with comp bench or normal bench, he'll kill himself. So he's putting some of that volume here after heavy squats, and he's putting the rest of the volume in after deadlifts. Because the deadlift may just be 1 or 2 sets, right? So then he has a ton of space to bench afterwards. How's it going, Johnny G? And then we got Cool Dude. I think Australian food has to have the ability to kill you. It is a penal colony, though I'm not sure. Is that part of the national heritage? Do you guys consider that?
Mick? You're asking me?
Yeah, you're the Australian here.
Sound like you're asking Johnny G. What was the question? Do we consider ourselves to be convicts?
Like you were a penal colony originally. But like in what? All right, so we have, provinces of Canada still technically under the throne in some sort of weird ornate fashion. We're inherently like anti-European isolationists. What is the Australian take on let's say the UK or the British Empire? Is that like a thing that you guys think about or refer to in modern politics at all?
People who are, I mean, there's pretty, most people don't really care that much, and there's probably a minority of people who are fairly, I think you have them in the States as well, who are like, well, they invaded a sovereign country that wasn't theirs and just decided to take it over. So, there's those kind of people as well, I guess.
Did you see the clip recently of the guy on the street for Australia Day?
Well, I didn't see it.
Okay, I'll try to send it to you afterwards. But it's some Australian guy talking about Australia Day, and then this Aboriginal-looking woman, and then kind of this Tumblr-looking woman come up to him, and they're like, "Did you know you're supporting murder? You're supporting conquering people, killing people, oppressing a nation." And then eventually they like attack him, and he slaps him in the face. It's a really funny video. I'll send it to you after this.
So that sounds right up my alley.
It's right up your alley. Man. All right, never mind. I need to ask Mick politics questions later. Johnny G, this is an interesting one. He said Rip told you to go stop the 4-day split and go back to the LP. What do you think, Chase?
I have a feeling that, Johnny, you could probably make more progress on more frequency with your lifts. So, for example, like you're squatting every single session, you're alternating the press and the bench, and then you're deadlifting every session. That's why. Because, like, let's say if you were to jump from 1 month of doing the novice linear program into like more of a complicated program, you're going to waste time in the gym. Now, not completely waste it, but there is more efficiency and more progress to be seen doing the novice linear program and following that out a little bit longer than it is doing a program where it's just basically weekly PRs, where you could PR basically every single session that you come into the gym. I would love to go back to the novice linear program. I would kill a lot of people. I would do a lot of mean and horrible things to get back to the point where I could PR every single fucking session. So don't waste time, and don't fuck around in the gym whenever you have that ability at hand.
I agree with Rip, and I disagree with Rip here simultaneously. I think likely your programming, if looked at by any portion of people who are into programming, they would be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Mm-hmm. So going back to the LP is likely a great start for you, because anytime we see you do anything, it's like the world's hardest triple, and you're shitting and pissing yourself, and it's crazy. We've never seen you do like a normal working set for volume, I don't think, ever. So going back to the LP is kind of the foundation for programming, and then making correct decisions after that is probably excellent. I went from an hour to 2 hours, but I do the 3 lifts now instead of 1. So even this is like a hint at your, like if you were doing a 4-day split and you were only doing 1 lift a day, that's incredibly incorrect. That means you're only lifting each thing 1 time a week, which is crazy low frequency. Right, I see that all the time. People will do like,
taking like 15-minute rest sets, or what's
it's crazy. It's I'll see people they'll do like, I do squat this day, then bench, then I'll do deadlift, then I'll do press, and that's their 4-day split. Very incorrect. Mm-hmm. And we've been trying to figure out what your programming is for like a year now, Johnny. If this gives us a hint in anything, so simply increasing the frequency of your lifts and choosing weights that you can increase on, which means they have to be a little submaximal to start. That'll do you a whole load of good. But just know that you're already more seasoned lifter, so it's not going to last 3 months like a normal LP is. You have to do your LP, then make the correct decisions coming out of it.
Yeah. And even too, like Johnny, so like look at like the structure of like what we're saying too, like on our 4-day splits, like it's just a lot more stress than what you're getting currently, even with like the 1 exercise per 4 days and stuff like that. Going forward, like a program should not be easier. It should always kind of get a little bit harder. And that's because of the stress recovery adaptation cycle. So, I agree with what Alex said about like going back to like the original template. And then you got to go back and then not try to murder yourself, but then see how you can make it harder, but still being able to recover from the stress that you're getting in the week.
Yeah, Mick, you were right, Mick. He said he's taking 10-minute rest between sets. I have not been doing deadlifts, but you have been doing them now. Right. So basically and this happens, people just kind of like spiral themselves into less and less training for some reason. They'll take movement slots out. They'll go from deadlifting 3 times a week to deadlifting once a week. And then they'll go from squatting 9 sets a week to squatting 6 sets a week. They'll basically pull all of the training down and increase the rest, and everything gets super hard. You need a base of training almost always, you know. So I would say go from the LP, make the correct decisions coming out of the LP. For sure. And then keep watching this. The ideas that we'll talk about, Chase and I will talk about through this will probably be helpful for you. So this is more what alternating looks like. Repeating, this is, I would say, is the most typical. This is a little bit of a clause here of introducing tiny variation, because we're going AB, rest 1 or 2 days, AB. Let's say squat, bench, press, deadlift. And then your second A workout can be a pause squat and a close grip bench. Your second press workout can be a pin press or an RDL. Now, this example is subbing exercise variation rather than sets and reps, because we'll talk sets and reps later. But one thing you can do literally here is the squats on A could be sets of 5. The squats on A2 can be sets of 3. You know, the bench can be 6s, and then and then you can just go back to normal benching here, and it could be sets of 3 or 4. Could be doubles day, could be a little bit of both. This is exercise variation or movement, or so you can have movement selection, exercise variation, or you can just alter sets and reps. Does that sound reasonable, Chase?
Oh yeah. So like what I've done before too is like, so this is great too. Like if you're going into like a powerlifting meet, I kind of break it down towards like volume during the first AB cycle, and then intensity to kind of finish out the later of the week. Or you can just do it vice versa, whatever you want. But more recently, yeah, it's been like variation with exercises and movement patterns to where now we're getting, you know, intensity here, we're getting volume there. We're just a bunch of variables that we're kind of playing with.
Yep. Yeah, because like with if we just take Chase's example, like, so he could do that 3x3 heavy bench here, and then he could take it down to 285 and do some close grip pause sets. He could do, you know, 5 or 6 sets, get a ton of healthy volume in. And then, you know, his triceps and delts will be pretty fried from that close grip work, so he can go to a pin press the next day. It'll make sense, and then he'll turn that around and recover for heavy bench on, you know, on the A workout Monday. You know, so you kind of want to be thinking this is a repeating series of events, so every event needs to set up the next event. So like if you bench so much that you fuck your press up and you can't press 90 pounds, then your benching dose is a little bit too high. If you end up coming into the A workout incredibly recovered, almost like you're detraining, then, you know, you probably weren't benching enough, or you probably weren't pin pressing enough or doing close grip benching enough on the other side of that. You know, so it's going to be a careful balance, but we'll talk more about sets and rep schemes after this. I would say this is the most common. Chase, do you say you play with kind of sets and reps more than you do exercise variation, I'm assuming?
I would say reps and sets and stuff like that, because again, like the vast majority of the people that I'm dealing with, we're not really going for a type of an event or anything scheduled later on. So we're not really trying to practice anything. We're just trying to, again, get generally stronger. And the best way to kind of do this is through like volume and intensity. There's some slight variation because you need that, of course, with the upper body stuff. But going with like the squat and the deadlift, yeah, we're just going to go like, again, like the first time that we're squatting is going to be intensity. And the second time we're going to do some volume. Same thing with the deadlift of some sort, where we're pulling heavy off the floor for like a few singles. And then we're dropping down, and then we're doing on the next B day, like a 2x5 with their deadlift or something like that.
Yeah, So it brings up, I would say, the next point is that, you know, they don't have to be AB like this forever. You can you can almost take like a pit stop in variation. So it can be, you know, you can be benching a 5x5, let's say 200 for easy math, 5x5 at 200. On A2, you go 5x4 at 205, right? And then the next A workout, it's 5x5 at 205. So you're almost you're increasing by 5 pounds, taking a rep away, and then resting long enough so that your next bench workout, you can hit that for a 5x5. You know, so you can kind of pit stop in with variation and kind of extend your timelines. But I would say this one, I would say it's the most common for sure. In terms of practical programming, I think it's laid out much more like this, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then this brings us to, I would say, the last one. before we start kind of doing sets, reps, examples. This is the 3x1 split. And if we see here in terms of kind of the scheme, it's like the A workout, take a rest, the B workout, take a rest, the C workout, and then the D workout generally right afterwards. Do you guys program? All right, Silver Hand, how's it going? Do you guys program Conjugate for intermediates or advanced? Chase, so take that one first.
I don't. The vast majority of people that I'm working with are novices and some maybe first-time intermediates. I really don't deal with that much advanced people. And even if I did, I don't have enough to actually do like a true conjugate type template where, we don't have a bunch of machines in my gym. We just have barbells, so we would have to do barbell exercises, no dumbbells, no band work or no chain work or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Conjugate is it's hard to even nail down, because like when one person says conjugate, they mean something entirely different. Like Andy Baker's definition of conjugate may be different than, someone from West Side versus, someone from somewhere else. That's kind of a floating concept. I don't think it's incredibly helpful unless you have someone who responds really well to exercise variation and doesn't want to get beat up a lot. So if I'm working with someone who needs like relatively low fatigue, but I still want to push them hard, I'll just give them some variation that I know they can. It'll put them in mechanical disadvantage so they can try harder, but they won't beat themselves up, if that makes sense. So like if someone's already done, volume squats for let's say for the beginning of the week. Like later on in the week, it may be like paused front squat triples, and they're doing it every 90 seconds, every 2 minutes, at a short rest interval. So they're getting a ton of volume in, but they're artificially challenging themselves with speed work or with, some sort of something like that, or overload variations like bands or chains or things to that effect. So like conjugate being hard to nail down, a lot of the principles are good, but it's just, it would be one of my last recommendations for people, I would say, like I have guys pulling in the low 6s who don't need conjugate. It's not required at all. So the 3+1 split, we went over the scheme here. You can run this off of any standard HLM or even coming off of the NLP. You can just tag it, like you almost just want to tag a day on to any skeleton 3-day program. You tag on this accessory day. I would say the benefit of this is longer rest intervals. If you're getting systemically fatigued, you're still taking interval break days. So like if you back to this, some people run their 4-day splits even tight. It'll be like AB rest, AB rest, AB rest. They'll shift throughout the week. Other people will take 2 days rest after here. You're building more rest in with this one, I would say. If you need someone who gets really beat up by heavy squats and deadlifts, and then you put that accessory workout in there, they may be able to take 2 days rest afterwards. And another option is even to go the C workout, rest a day, the D workout, rest a day, then go start the cycle over again. That way they're getting 3 days, but they're still getting in there and moving weights around. Any other reason you would say in sort of like scheduling wise for this sort of idea, Chase?
No. Personally, like I haven't ran too many people through this. People that I've usually do this, like again, they're just kind of like guys that really just want to be in the gym a lot, and then I'll just kind of let them have a fun day and stuff like that on that last day.
The fuck around day.
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't really used it like its really true potential with anyone. So I don't have that much experience with it.
Okay, well, so we'll just keep chugging along. I would say this is a good time to add in beach muscles, which really just kind of translates to like getting more upper body work in a reasonable structure. I would say this is relatively lower fatigue because rather than taking that 4th exposure and adding heavy lifts in there, you're making that like light volume overhead pressing, close grip benching, lots of chins, some arm work, things like that. Let's see. I guess we should go get some examples going here. I'm going to switch to this.
Do you ever program people like on that
Can you see this,
3+1? Yeah. So do you ever program anybody like on that 3+1 as like maybe like on that 4th day you're working on like maybe like the power snatch or the clean and jerk or something like that?
All the time. Yeah, we'll go backwards actually. Can you see this, Chase, pretty easily?
Yeah, right there I can.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm actually just going to do everything. Can I get the whole thing here? We're going to increase the text size. Is that better?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're working We're working now. So we're doing the 3+1. So let's just say this someone is who's arrived almost at the end of the RLP, or they're doing something similar to a Texas method. So this squat, for example, this could be 3 to 5 sets of 5. This bench is more likely going to be 5 sets of, let's say 4 to 6 reps. This deadlift is probably going to be 1 or 2 sets. And this is probably going to be triples or 5s, I would say. The light squat, do you typically program just a percentage off, or do you put in something like a pause squat or a front squat generally for like end to LP?
It depends. It depends on the person. So if like they're really fucking up something, then we're going to use exercise selection to kind of help with diminish the stress. But let's say like their squat is looking good. Yeah, I want to use a percentage like 70%, something real stupid like that.
Okay, what do you normally do for volumes?
For the volume squat, I will do anywhere from like 85 to 90%, and I'll typically do like a 4 to 5 set.
I mean this light squat.
Oh, gotcha.
You do
for
2
the reps
sets,
and sets of
3, 4?
the 2
Just
sets of
rough
5,
set volume. Okay.
3 sets of 3, stuff like that.
All right, so let's say 2 to 3 sets. 2 to 3 sets here is fine. And then press work, you can probably get in a good amount of press work here. I would say probably 5 sets in that 4 to 6 range again is good. And then if you want to do clean, Chase's dog is that Garm,
Yeah.
Chase?
That was both of them. So Phoebe walked in from the grocery store and they were attacking her.
How dare she bring back groceries? So for your when you start programming clean volume, it's probably a lot of triples, right, Chase?
Exactly.
You tend to do kind of a 5x3 area?
Yeah, I'm
so
pretty much by the book. But
we'll say 5x3.
also depending on like how much I have with this person, like time in the session, like we may do 3x3. It depends on how well this person can kind of get through the teaching progression. Like if they're really fucking it up, yeah, we're gonna like stop at like a 3x3. But if they're just rolling through it, we'll do a 5x3.
And then chins, I would say 2 to 4 sets. Like if someone sucks at chins and they're very stressful, like if they're going to fuck their grip up and fuck their back up, maybe 2 sets, but up to 4 sets, I'd probably say it's fine. And then this will say, probably like failure-ish at body weight.
Yeah.
And then we'll go like this workout. We're almost kind of rehashing what we did with Texas method, but this is probably going to be, let's say like 3 to 5, and we'll just keep this to triples, like 2 or 3 reps here. And then bench. Do you tend to add in? So, let's say for like an intensity bench, how much volume would you put in for that, Chase?
I still like to do a 5x5.
So if we already have a 5x5 earlier.
Oh, gotcha, over there. So like, so workout 3 is the intensity day. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. What's typical intensity day for you?
Anywhere from like 2 triples, 5 singles. Even, I don't really like to do a set of 5 with the bench. I think it needs a little bit more sets with that.
Okay.
So I've even done 3 doubles, stuff like that.
So you're looking at like a 6 to 10 rep spread.
Yeah.
And then for intensity for deadlifts, let's just say, for example, this person is still deadlifting. What would you typically put in here?
Anywhere from 3 to 1 reps. Now, what I mean by that, though, is like, let's say if we're doing a deadlift for a 1x1, we're still going to follow it up with like back off stuff. So like a top single and some back off sets. But the back offs are, even though that they're lighter, they're still at a high enough percentage to where it's going to help with the stress. So it could be.
So like a bunch of practice singles, do you think here, or do you typically do kind of triples, doubles?
Yeah, I'll do that. But like what I've been doing recently is just doing like a top single, then maybe doing like a triple for a back off. So we're doing still around 5 reps in total for work and stuff like that, and tonnage and stuff like that. But the intensity is still pretty hard on the back offs.
And then this day afterwards, I really like on the fluff day, I always say forced negatives. So I'll give people something. What was that, Mick?
You call it a fluff day?
Yeah, fluff day, dude. Fluff day. Wait, hold on. Fluff day. You just got to go in and catch a pump, dude. So, like, let's say, for example, if someone can typically do like 8 or 9 reps on the chin up for their first set, which is pretty normal, I'll send to say, hey, we need you to get 4 sets of 10 done. and then it's negatives to finish. So that first set they may get 8 reps and they'll do 2 negatives. The second set they may get 7 reps and do 3, and so on and so forth. Let's say these could be LTEs, dips, light press. Typically, this is kind of what you can get away with. I would say most people can tend to get away with 2 to 4 sets here. And then the reps here can be higher for sure. Like you don't want to do an LTE for a triple,
No.
Same thing with a dip. And then curls. You
Love
like
LTEs.
those, Mick?
Oh, I love LTEs.
Ooh.
So good.
Oh man.
Just LTEs straight on the barbell curl. That's a wrap for the day.
Chase, I got a question for you. Whenever you're doing LTEs, do you feel your triceps doing things?
Actually, no, man.
I only feel my lats.
I feel my lats. I feel my pec minor too, man. I will get a huge pec pump. And then I'll finish out like maybe like towards like the end of the range of motion. I'll feel a little bit of tricep, but not as near as the pecs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
after though.
Afterwards, not in my triceps, it's again more in my pecs.
Oh, really?
It feels like a pullover.
It's the shoulder. It's a big. So, this is kind of a good point. So, Mick, for athletic people, they will tend to do the LTE like a power clean. They'll tend to do the LTE like in such a gamified movement where if you just tell someone who has a little bit more, let's say athleticism, just to use that word. If you tell them, get this weight over your head, this is what an LTE looks like. They'll give it so much speed and pop out of the bottom with their lat and with their pec that it'll be almost weightless until about here. And then it's like a partial ROM on the tricep. So people who do it like very strictly and they'll just kind of pull the shoulder back over a little bit and then do the skull crusher, they'll feel the tricep. But I've done LTEs with like $180 before and I've never felt tricep. I'll just be like, you can just fucking throw the thing, and it's a pullover, old school pullover. And then curls, maybe 1 million sets. Yes, pause, slow tempo. You need a slow tempo and a pause with your 1 million sets. I would say this is a pretty typical kind of like HLM-ish. So like HLM +1 scheme, I would say is this typically what this is. And then would you rather do the repeating micros or we got time for one more, Chase. Would you rather do the one where it's kind of like repeating typical or would you rather do the alternating? What one's more interesting to you?
The repeating micros is going to be pretty similar to like the one that we just did with like the HLM plus because like you're still if we were to cut out like workout 3 essentially, so we still got the squat doing like the 3 to 5 rep range.
Yeah, it would look almost like this.
Exactly. So I mean, just kind of imagine that, and that's basically what the repeating is. I'd rather do the alternating.
Okay. All right. So let's say alternating. Well, we're going to add some space in here.
Because this is like the fun part about programming that everyone kind of always like wants to do and always gets like really just encapsulated with. So it's like squat. Ooh, what can I do here?
What can I do? All right, Chase, walk me through it, baby. Set me up.
Man,
fuck my shit up.
So squat, we're going to do maybe a top triple, a top single, a top set of 5. We're going to do a shit ton of back off work.
Oh, all of those?
Fuck yeah, dude. We're going to kill our legs, bro.
All right. No, be serious. Don't fuck me up that bad.
No, but I generally do like a top set of some sort. For example, again, it could be a triple. It could be a single, even a set of 5. It just depends on what we're kind of needing to fix it. And the back offs, usually what I go for is either triples or sets of 5. I don't really mess with singles or doubles on this because, again, it's such a diminish off of the first intensity that we're getting with the top set that we can handle a little bit more volume with it.
Okay, so you think that like if a double for the double to be valuable, it has to be too close in weight to the single?
Like for the top set, yes.
Yeah, so basically it's like you need to back off in weight an appreciable amount, and when it's an appreciable back off, you end up doing a triple,
Exactly. Yeah.
And what does Nick say? Nick has a funny line about this. 4s are for communists.
Something like that.
Something like this. I program with 4s all the time, and I'm staunchly anti-communism. So that fucks me up when Nick says that. I'm like, man, I love 4s. All right, so let's say this is your top squat. We're on the bench now. This is a guy who wants to fill out some natural D cups. How do we help him out?
Gotcha. So it looks like we're gonna have another session at workout 3 with some sort of bench. Again, I want him to do like the main focus here on the bench. So it's gonna be kind of similar to the squat a little bit. So we may do a little bit more like top set work. So instead of like 1 set, we may be 2 sets or even 3 sets.
Okay.
And then
all
we
right.
can hit
So
like
top sets, and then you think 2 to 3 sets, or you ever go past that?
yeah, I'd say just like 2 to 3.
2 to 3, and you'd like to keep what in terms of what rep range do you typically keep those in?
Probably about there too, 1 to 3.
Okay. How do you feel about bench singles, Chase? Do you think bench singles are pretty helpful?
The reason why I kind of use them here in our gyms is that it's fun to do.
Okay.
I don't really see like unless we're going into a competition, like if we need to practice heavy like pause benches and stuff like that, then I can see that. But in terms of like strength training, man, I think it has a better application if you're doing triples or even sets of 5 or even some sort of doubles. Then oh hell yeah,
Mick, can we get a front double bicep? Yeah, that's for you, L7D. That's for you, baby. Woo. Mick, you're muted, dude. Mick, you need to unmute yourself.
There we go. I said thanks, Mom, for coming on the stream.
That's your mom is L7D.
Yeah.
That's her. Australia just gives you name and serial code now. They're like, here you go. This adult woman is L7D. How old is your mom, Mick? Dox your mom with her age.
74, something like that.
Okay. All right. There's the 7. This theory is holding up.
The D is for
Dingo, the most famous Australian animal. All right, let's see how visible. All right, this is we can see this so much right now.
Yeah, this looks good.
Whew, amazing. Everybody keep complimenting Mick. This is truly why the stream exists. All right, so we're back to the bench with top sets. I very rarely do top singles or doubles on the bench. I say like 3 or 4 I would say you can kind of do for like a hard top set on the bench. My volume work for bench is typically 5 or 6 reps, I would say.
Yeah. Like I've done 5 singles with people, but again, like I'm attributing more sets to help the lack of number of reps. And again, like I use them more because it's fun. We have a leaderboard going on, so like everyone wants to get on the leaderboard and shit like that. Everyone still has that innate programming of like, oh, my bench needs to be really high up, and you kind of get that with.
Everybody wants those big natural Ds, man.
Exactly.
Everybody does. Natty D's edition. Yeah. So for back offs, we kind of had this I had this in the slides. When you're determining how many sets someone can fit into a session, you have to think about. So whenever we're saying this workout, we're figuring out how many sets will fuck up the next workout. So it's not necessarily the minimum you're looking for in a lot of ways. It's kind of what you can get away with. I say this a lot of times to all my guys is we're looking for as much as you can get away with. So let's say if we get to like the 6th bench set and it starts to fuck his press up too much, we're going back down to 5. If he can get away with 6 sets, we're keeping it at 6, but we just have to figure out how to keep it heavy and relevant to his goals. Like if we have, your boy here squat so much that when he's trying to clean, he literally can't get under the bar.
Yeah,
we've gone too far. We knew that we're starting to feel the consequences and ramifications. So when you're trying to dose this, it's like, all right, so let's say this is an AM workout. On these splits, by the way, I really like doing AM PM if they can split it. That way you just get a little bit more time. You're just separating it even further. So I know that I have, let's say, 30-ish hours between this workout and then this workout. It's how much squatting can I do and have this person still turn around a good, clean performance or a good, let's say light deadlift or whatever this ends up being. We'll see what Chase decides in between these sets. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool. How many back off sets for bench are we giving this guy, Chase?
I like to usually go like about 3 or so. 3 is the most 3 to 2.
Okay, so we're going 3 to 12.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think this may be Only 3. So you like to cap your sets off at almost around 5, 6ish sets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So we'll say 3ish, and then for reps on back offs, where are you typically hanging out at?
5 to 3 again.
5 to 3, 3 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Do you typically lean towards triples or do you lean towards 5s? Where would you say?
Again, it kind of depends on the individual. If
Yeah.
someone really struggles with the bench, I'm going 5s. If someone's just really proficient at it and they can kind of get away with a really high top set in terms of intensity with their
Mhm.
workload, yeah, I'm going to go 3s.
Yeah, that's very reasonable. If it's triples, like I like to think about like session reps, so like if someone ends up doing 2 singles and then 3 triples, they're getting 11 session reps. The guy
Mhm.
who is doing a 3x3, then a 3x5, he's getting way more.
Mhm.
So you need to think about how much training that person actually needs. Like Chase was saying, like if they're very proficient at it, how much do they need? All right, so we're through workout 1 into this alternating. How are you going to program this press? And then do you want to clean after this? Do you want to do a light deadlift? What do you want to do after this, Chase?
So they're doing this all on the same day, like the squat, bench, and then a press and a
No, so
clean?
this is workout 1. This is the A day. This is the next
Okay,
day
good.
in
Okay, I
PM.
was about to say. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the press, this could be either a pin press or a press singles. I want to do something really hard for the press here. So whether it be a really heavy 3x3 for the pin press, it could be 8 singles on a normal
Ooh,
overhead press, stuff like that. Yeah, we're gonna go
damn,
fucking
son.
balls to the wall. Yep, exactly.
That's the plan here. Just fuck your shit up. Just fuck your shit up. This is
But no, like
this
in
is
all
in the trenches
seriousness,
programming, people.
well, like in all seriousness too, is like the press can take a shit ton of work, and you'll be totally fine afterwards
Yeah.
because you got to think, what is the movement pattern, right? It's a long kinetic chain,
Mhm.
so that doesn't really help in terms of like adding a lot of weight to it, but two, the muscle groups that you're working with, right? Like you're using your delts, your traps, your tris, and a little bit of some like upper pecs. Like those small muscle groups can handle a lot of work,
They
and
really can.
because of how much intensity you're doing with the weight on the bar.
Yeah, because it's like if you're benching, you're benching 250 and your press is at 145 or something. Your
Yeah,
press is
exactly.
145 to 165. That's comparatively not that big of a load for your triceps and
Not
your
at all.
shoulders. So like we talked about this in the Texas Method episode last week. But like barring a neck injury or like history of neck fuck ups, history of shoulder fuck ups, you can really push the press pretty hard.
You can.
Yeah, you can do a butt ton of triples. And then what would you say for this gentleman's light deadlift? This could be chins, this could be RDLs, deadlifts,
Hmm.
even offset. What do you want to do here, Chase?
I wouldn't go with the clean analogy because I think people need to start cleaning more. So again, like we're still doing maybe some 5 sets, but we're maybe changing the number of reps now. So we're kind of getting away from like the 5x3. We're still maybe doing
Okay.
doubles. We could do a
You
5
want a
doubles.
5x2?
Mm-hmm. I've done that
Okay,
with
and then how
people.
fast are these? Are these power cleans? Are these full cleans typically?
I still have done power cleans at this time. If they were just full cleans though, I'm gonna drop this down to singles. So maybe 5 singles, maybe even a 3x2, stuff like that. And the reason
Yeah.
why is that your legs are going to be a little bit more toast. It's a
Mhm.
longer kinetic chain here. And again, you got to remember that we just beat the fuck out of yourself with the squats the day before. So
Yeah.
you're going to handle a little bit of the stress differently with versus a clean versus a power clean.
Yeah, like the power clean, for example, it's a fast as fuck deadlift that floats up to where you want to catch
Hmm.
it at. A clean is like it's a slower power clean, and then you have to meet it with squat.
Yep.
So let's say, for example, sometimes I'll have this be a flexible call for people. So it's like if we kind of undershot your workloads almost, and let's say the squat, for example, wasn't that bad, and you wake up and you're by the time you get to your evening workout, you feel pretty fresh. These can be full cleans, right?
Yep.
But if you're
Yep.
pretty toast, you're going, take 20 pounds off the bar, power clean it, add a rep, add a 2
Exactly.
reps, things like that. Anything else you want to add to our second workout here, Chase?
And maybe too for the cleans, depending on how technically savvy you are. We're going to do a little bit more or do a little bit less. So like I've done EMOMs of people too. So we can do 10 reps, so 10 reps every minute on the minute type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That helps too. So we're getting a bunch of work done in a short amount of time,
Yeah.
so we're not there all day and stuff like that.
That is a huge help. Yeah. Like the
Mhm.
power clean, some people they'll end up resting 6 minutes in between
Yeah,
sets.
it's way too long.
You really don't need to, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a heavy deadlift. You'll notice once the bar speed starts dipping that even if like if on my cleans, like if I'm tired in cleaning and my muscles are literally fatigued, it doesn't matter if I rest 4 minutes or 10 minutes, that bar speed is not going to magically rebound, you know.
Yeah.
It'll rebound, you know, the next day once, you know, you're freshened up again, but it won't rebound within that single session. And then again, we got to think about this. We're doing this power clean within the context of deadlifting another 40 to 60 hours later. Okay.
Mhm.
So we can't go so crazy here that it fucks up this deadlift. But the good news is that it's very hard to power clean so much that you fuck your deadlift up
Yes.
48 hours later.
Yes.
All right. So we're on the deadlift chase. This person has already done, you know, 5 clean sets, and they've already done somewhere between 6 or 4 to 8 back offs, or 4 to 8 sets on squats.
Mhm. This may not be a deadlift, so I may alternate it from either doing like a halting. So we may be doing a halting. This could be a rack pull, exactly. What if it's still a deadlift? Depending on how sufficiently well they are at, I may just do a top triple, and that's it. I may not be so worried about their back off sets because again, we got all this stress that we've done with the cleans and the squats where hey, maybe a triple is just sufficient enough to where they're totally fine.
Yeah, this is going to be a call based off of. It's very
Yeah.
similar to what he was talking about with the bench, for example. This is going to be, you know, like to taste or as needed. Like if your lifter, let's say if they're pulling, you know, 365 for a triple, and they very clearly can pull 395 for a triple, you have every stop. You have 370, 75, 80, 85, 90, so on and so forth. You have all the way. You have that runway to get stronger. If they have that sort of runway and they're still responding really well to the volume target, don't change the volume target.
Yeah.
You know, like be picky about volume. And if you need to add volume, make sure it's relatively lower stress, right? So like if doing, let's say a 5x3, not racks or not heavy rack pulls, you know.
No.
Like if you're doing a 5x3 because you need that volume, have it be deadlifts that still have a good amount of speed to it. Have it be like 85% deadlifts.
Yeah.
Don't have it be 10 out of 10 kill yourself reps if you're doing them. So I would say, I don't know, Chase, let's see if you agree with this. I would say this slot, like the heavy pull in the week, it's almost like the keystone slot because it can fuck up everything else really bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And fuck, man, like whenever you're really proficient too, like even just doing like a top single it's totally fine. Because again, like if your deadlifts real fucking good, like your power cleans and even your cleans are going to be really nice. Your squat's going to be pretty heavy too, because again, all that muscle mass that you've trained pretty heavily with the deadlift, so you can get away with less work on the deadlift and be totally fine.
Yeah. For normal mere mortals, like if you're not if you're not, let's say, a great puller and you don't have either great pulling mechanics or you don't have a lot of muscle mass, you want to give it more volume. But you have to understand, like, let's say if you go heavy rack pulls and then you bang out like a hard 5x5 on the rack pull, your upper body movement the next day is going to suffer. Your lower body movement the next day is going to
You'll
suffer.
be in the
and
hospital.
You may not even have it turned around for squats the next day.
Yeah.
So you need to be careful about how you load this. I would say, like, you know, like if deadlifts, fast, lower reps, you know, keep it smooth. Well, one thing I'll tell my lifters is like, keep it smooth. If something feels like it's gluing to the ground or if it's sticking halfway up your leg, it's probably too heavy for that day. You know, you want to keep it so it's like, I'm very clearly succeeding in these reps.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. All right, so we got our bench accessory. What do you think, Chase? Do you think you want to go? We're getting busting out the dumbbells. Are we busting out some close grip, pin bench, pause bench? What do you think?
I still like to keep it with a barbell, but we can still go like dumbbell and stuff like that. Again, like I'm only around barbells here at my gym, but
what's the purpose? How about we'll frame the question like this: what is the purpose of this bench accessory?
Gotcha. It's to add sufficient enough volume in regards to the first day of benching, but at a weight to where you can still recover from. Because again, like you're still going to be stressed from the bench. You got the press, and you just rack pulled or did something real fucking heavy beforehand too. So you're beat the shit a little bit still, even though that you've been kind of focusing on different movement patterns and even like a lower body exercise. But still keep in mind that, and now we got to carry over the stress sufficiently enough to where we're not going to get too beat up. And the way to do that is a little bit with some exercise selection, modifying the range of motion. Dumbbells are a good way to kind of do that, to where they're very light loaded, and we can do a shit ton of volume with it and not get too beat up, but still feel like we've achieved something. The close grip, same thing. We're messing with the weight on the bar, pause, all that shit. Pin bench. I'd be kind of hesitant maybe on the pin bench because you can overload that, kind of similar to like the rack pull here. You can kind of get beat up a little bit, but maybe if you did like one single or like or not even a single, but like a triple or something real light reps and sets on that top set, and then maybe do like some back off accessory with something else.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So it's like you want to go. Let's say we can add in this goal. So avoid detraining. Main bench. So like if your bench accessory, for example, let's say if you do let's say dumbbell incline work, nice pause at the bottom. It really opens your shoulders up. Your shoulders are feeling beat up from the clean. They're beat up from the press. Let's say if you do that, but then you notice that when you come on your first workout, your bench feels really all over the place. It's not as grooved in. Okay, I probably need to get a barbell bench in here. I need to get something that's going to replicate this more closely. If you notice that, let's say you're just doing let's say you're doing comp bench or whatever your main bench variation. Let's say if you just do more bench press on this day, and then on your first workout here, you're like, my elbows are creaky. I'm noticing a little bit of golfer's elbow or some tennis elbow, whatever the hell is. If you're noticing, you're like, okay, I'm feeling still a little bit beat up, even though I didn't go that hard. You probably want to change the exercise variation. And then that's where pause bench comes in. Close grip bench comes in. Pin bench is a little more tentative, like Chase said, because you can overload the pin bench. So you want to find something where you're driving the main bench, but you're not fucking up the main bench. So you want something just to kind of keep everything moving, if that makes sense. I like higher volumes here. Like let's say if it's like close grip bench, for example, I'll almost always do these paused as well. I don't like bouncing on the close grip because I think it just fucks people's elbows up. Let's say if it's paused, let's say like 4 to 6 sets in the 3 to 5 rep range, and then fast, smooth reps. Because again, like we're trying to drive the main bench, but not fuck the main bench up. So you don't want avoid death grinds, I would say. I think that's a fine solution.
Well, and also like look at it, like it's hard because like you kind of can get carried away with like just looking at the day. I've done this multiple times too. Is like right now, like we've hit this really high stress level, and then now it's like it's slowly kind of going down a little bit because we got the cleans and the press is still pretty heavy, but again, overall it's not that heavy. And then we're kind of bumping up again because we have the halting, we have a heavy pull off the floor, and then we can really kill it with the bench. So kind of going forward is like I want to start off strong. This second workout is usually enough to get me by with one of my workouts, but it's not supposed to kill me. And then again, I'm going to hit it strong again on the third one. And then the fourth one, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit, is kind of like mimicking the second workout where I'm not totally killing myself and I still have more time to recover.
Spot on. Yeah, that's like did you? I don't know if he used these. I don't think you used these words precisely, but it's like the week is front loaded in stress, right?
Yeah.
So if it's front loaded in stress, we need to let that stress come down so that it can rebound again. You don't want to keep somehow adding stress across the week, or at least too much, because you're just digging too big of a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like it. Saying the same things, agreeing. So we're at workout 4 now. This is the end of the week. When we're at the end of the week, I like to think about, or it comes back to the what you can get away with thing. Because this is, let's say you have 2 rest days before next workout 1. So I need to think, I have 2 rest days before next workout 1. what can I get away with on this day that still kind of it fits in this criteria. It's driving the main lifts, but I'm going to avoid detraining, and I'm not going to screw the next workout up. So how do you typically program kind of like end of a front loaded week, Chase?
If they're feeling fine from like workout 3 and just even the progressive workouts, I'll still kind of go a little bit heavy. So like with the jerks, we're hitting maybe like
and
a
this
3
could be
by
any
2.
sort of upper body pressing.
Yeah,
I just put the jerk in here because I like jerks. So what do you think, Chase? Would you jerk on this day? What would you do?
Yeah, like I do like a 3 by 3 if you're feeling fine and you're not too beat up. Maybe even like a 3 singles. Just kind of depends on your situation with your stress and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely to technique tolerance as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're making the reps way harder because you're bad at them, pull the reps down.
Yeah.
How much jerk volume do you think people can handle in relationship to like a normal press?
I
More
think
or
a
less?
lot. I think a lot. They can handle a lot because you got to think too. So like you are kind of almost limited to how much you can jerk if we're pairing it with the power clean or the clean, because you got to get it up to your shoulders first.
Right.
I'm kind of like in that way to where whenever I'm doing it from the floor and I'm coupling it with the clean, my jerks are always going to be super light. And then whenever I go out of the rack, it's going to be heavy, and I can't get away with doing a bunch of reps with it. So I'm going to have to tailor it down to something that fits me. But it's totally different from the press too, because again, what are we using? We're using a lot more legs. We're using a little bit more.
Way more. It's more muscle. It's more muscle. Like your legs are still involved in a normal press, but you're not push pressing in a normal press.
Exactly.
Now you're jerking the bar.
Yeah, so that kind of takes into account different aspects about the stress and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the upper slot. More volume than you'd think. All right. How would we finish off the lower body stress for the week?
For the front squat, or even just like another variation of the squat, I'm still going to keep kind of lighter because I want them going fresh into the next session with this heavy squat.
To interrupt you real quick, what other variations would you consider acceptable in this situation?
A pause squat, a box squat, tempo. If you're like real, I guess you could even do like a high bar and stuff like that. The reason why I'm kind of hesitant about the high bar is that you can still pretty load it pretty hard and heavy. So I would put that like maybe just on my bottom tier of things to kind of play around with. But
we'll look at this order. What priority order would you go? Would you do a box squat before a tempo squat, or would you do a tempo squat before a box squat?
In terms of figuring out the reduction of stress and stuff, I'm going to go with tempo because
so
I have
you pull that before. Okay.
Yeah. And again, because box squats can still be heavy, like it'll fuck you up and stuff and all that. But like pause really can't. I mean, again, it can be heavy, but it's not as heavy as a box or a high bar. Same thing with the tempo because you're controlling the eccentric, you're controlling the concentric, all that stuff that we normally are not as prioritizing with the other two movements.
Okay, thank you. So back to volumes. Where do you want to land on this day, Chase?
I like to do triples for my reps, and then
Dude,
for
you
sets,
love the triples.
I do, man. I think they work a lot, man.
I love them.
For the sets, though, I may even do 3 again. I may do doubles or two reps and stuff like that. Like we're not going to do too much here.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so there's kind of there's an inverse relationship here. If it's heavier, less volume, of course. If it's lighter, and do more. So like let's say for example, if you're doing a heavy box squat, you want to stick to lower volume. If you're doing a tempo squat with, let's say, like, what's a reasonable percentage for a tempo squat for a triple? Maybe like 60%.
Yeah, somewhere around there, 60 or 70.
Yeah, if you're doing really light tempo squats, you can probably do more. So what would you say minimum volumes? You'd probably say 3 sets, right?
Yep. Max probably go 5.
Max 5 sets. 6 if cool. Yeah. So I would say this is a very reasonable skeleton chase. Are you going to sell this as a template?
Yep, for $9.99. I'm going to go real cheap at the start, see if anyone bites on it, and then I'm going to really skyrocket it after that.
$9.99. Let's say donate to Chase's OnlyFans. Here we go. At Vanilla Gorilla. Do you think that Vanilla Gorilla name is taken on OnlyFans, Chase?
There's only one way to find out.
Can
You have
please
to
look right
register.
now? Can we please look right now?
No, then you'll see my account pop up whenever I'll go in. It'll be my creator page. All right, so the names for this, we could do Natty D's edition or Forza for Communists. We could do Vanilla Gorilla OnlyFans. But yeah, I like this a lot. All right, Chase, give this another once over before we kind of seal this as a reasonable way to consider a 4-day split.
So on this particular setup here, we're taking into account maybe like the workout 1 and 3 are kind of like the heavier days, and then the workout 2 and 4 are not as much. So we're starting off the week with a bang a little bit with a heavy intensity with both the squat and the bench. And then we're reducing that stress with a press, even though the press is still heavy, and then the power clean. So we're using basically movement selection here, or exercise selections to help reduce the stress here. And then on workout 3, we're still doing maybe a little bit of some exercise selection, but it's all heavy because the deadlift is just fucking heavy. And with the bench, kind of again some exercise selection, but it's kind of riding again on the coattails of the deadlift in the sense that it's still going to be heavy in regards to that movement pattern. And then with workout 4, we're going lighter. This is kind of like more technical stuff. So if you think about it, like with the jerk stuff, that's a little bit more technical to some people. So you have to work on that. And then for the front squat or a pause squat tempo, whatever you're doing, you're controlling some portion of the range of motion in order to help with technique, whatever it is, but it's still underlying where we're fixing the stress here in that day.
Cool Dude 69, he said, "Are you able to post that template with the video or a link to it?" We know the link. It's $9.99. You have to donate to Chase's OnlyFans. You have to pay attention, Cool Dude. Yeah, we may throw this. I may put this spreadsheet up publicly, and then we can put that in the description. That'll be bonus points, though. That'll be bonus points for sure. Okay, this was good. I like this one, and then we'll pop back over to this one. If someone just wants to pause the video, you can get that here. I would say for most people, you'll end up in some form of this. You'll either do kind of an HLM with another day in between, particularly if you're like an adult or a younger male who cares about how he looks. You'll end up somewhere in this HLM +1 area, or in this sort of alternating position where it's like you want to get a lot of you're using exercise variation as one of your primary tools to manage stress, because all of this stuff, everything under the sun here, it's coming down to stress or fatigue management, and then you got to figure out like certain templates or certain programs will use those as different tools.
And even even though like we did those fast and stuff too, like we got to go back and think about like what are we doing? We're not program hopping, but we're using variables that are changing us from basic to a little bit more complex. General to now more specific, stuff like that. So just keep that in account. Like you don't go programming hopping and then, try to rip off our shit or anything like that. Just,
that is an interesting thing. Like you can't plug and play with these things, because if you plug and play, it literally will not work.
Nope.
Right. Because you'll be changing volume targets too rapidly. Or what you'll notice is that, like, let's say, for example, in that template, or let's say in either of those ones that we kind of ran through as samples, if you're not intimately familiar with those exercise variations, or intimately familiar with that frequency on your own body's recovery schedule, then how the hell are you going to adapt to it in a timeline to get stronger?
Exactly. Exactly.
Man. Whew. Now, so by the way, this is I would say maybe 80% of my job. I just sit and I just fucking program my little heart
jack off to some programming, man.
I literally
kind of do too. I like programming.
So yeah, most of my position jacking off to programming and then touching men. Those are the two. These are my two positions in life. Okay, all right. Yeah, this was a long show. Thank you very much to the people. We still have some people here who are watching. I'm sure this will go down in the annals of programming conversations for sure. Any parting shots, Mick or Chase?
Nah, man. I think we're good.
All right, it's being ended.